The following program is sponsored by Your Credit Matters.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Rondy Lambeth, bringing to you every day what I think the banks, the credit bureaus, the collection companies, what they don't want you to know about your credit, about the real estate market, about your finances, and how that little 3-digit credit score actually impacts every man, woman, and child in America, and how it impacts your livelihood. 7 out of 10 lifestyle decisions are based on your credit score. And if you have poor credit, it is a fact you will pay more for everything in your life. And according to recent studies, nearly 8 out of 10 people in America have mistakes on their credit reports. 8 out of 10. That's 75 million Americans that would be denied credit based on mistakes. And speaking of mistakes, we have a special guest today, Tom Levine with KPRZ. Thanks, Tom, for coming in.
You're very welcome, Rondy. Now, is it a mistake for you to have me on the show?
No. Speaking of mistakes, that is a good segue. Yeah, that didn't quite work out very well, did it? Speaking of mistakes on credit reports, right. We have Tom.
Yes.
Tom, how long have you been with KPRZ?
Almost 26 years.
26 years.
Mm-hmm. One of the original employees of the radio station.
How long has the station been here?
Well, it's been in La Jolla since 1994, but it started in 1986.
Wow. So it's been in La Jolla since 1994. Didn't you tell me in the beginning, a year ago, when I started out on the station, that they had a tower and it burnt down or something and they had to move it? Is that right?
We did. There was an enormous fire, and our tower is actually located in the southern end of San Marcos. There was an enormous fire, which people who live in that area would remember. But the fire came right up to our fence line and stopped. Really miraculous.
Maybe a little touch of maybe God had a little hand into that.
I think so.
I was watching the news this morning. They were talking about Tim Tebow, and I know you're a big Broncos fan.
That's right. I grew up in Denver.
I would say that I don't know if I'm a Broncos fan, but I like the Broncos. I'm not really a fan of any professional sports team. But, they were talking about the interesting stats with Tim. Did you watch the segment this morning with 316 yards or 31.6 carries?
I didn't see that, but of course I'm very familiar with what you're talking about.
Okay, so
merely coincidence, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so there was like 5 different coincidences, and they're tying it back to John 3:16, which I don't know. Maybe it's a stretch, maybe it's not. Who knows? Mm-hmm. They were talking about it, so I guess that gives the media something to talk about.
Right.
So, but speaking of mistakes on credit reports,
right.
You hear me talking about it every day, and that's what the show's about, is teaching people about how to read a credit report and how to get mistakes removed and how to respond to nasty collection letters and creditor letters and how to respond to the credit bureaus. And you're on the station today, the show with me today. This is my 4th show, by the way, Tom. I was very busy today with other guest speakings and stuff.
Yes.
So, speaking of that, you got a letter from a collection agency, right?
I did. There's just a certain kind of letter that you get. It stands out. When you get it in the mail, I opened it up, and there it was. And it was based on an old video store, Hollywood Video, which was in our neighborhood, which closed down several years ago. So this dates back to about 2007, right?
So you got a collection letter basically from a collection company for Hollywood Video for $67 and some change.
That's correct.
From 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'm assuming you're wondering what to do with that letter.
Yeah. You're my friend, and you're the first person I thought about. Here's a real-life story. I wasn't sure what to do next.
All right. So we're going to go over that. If you're listening right now and you have credit issues, or maybe you've received a letter similar to this, or a family member has received a letter and you want to know what to do, you can listen to the show or you can give me a call, and I'll personally go over it with you. My number is 888-900-3678. Again, that's 888-900-3678. Or go to the website, send me a message at badcreditisAchoice.com, because it really is. It's really up to you if you have bad credit or not. So it's badcreditisAchoice.com. So let's go over this letter. You got a letter from a collection company for $67 from back in 2007 for Hollywood Video. It's probably some late fees or late payments.
I guess. I was racking my brain because we're very concerned about paying our bills. We want to do things with integrity, in our personal life, in our credit report, our rating is very important to us. That's why I really enjoy your show. So we get this letter, and I believe we returned all of the materials. The store announced that it was closing. I mean, you drove by, you could see that it was closing, and we returned everything. Now, we may have had late fees that I...
So let's go over what actually is happening with that, because there's a class action lawsuit. Let me back up. It wasn't a class action lawsuit. It was a lawsuit filed by the Montana State Attorney General.
Okay.
So it was the state of Montana versus Hollywood Video and their collection company, Goons. And so what happened was Hollywood Video was closing their stores all across the state of Montana, just like they did here in San Diego. And if you did not return that video in time prior to them closing, if you rented it the night before and you went back the next day and the store was closed, they were sending people to collections over $2 and $3. So with you could have some late payments or late fees, and it could legitimately be your debt. Most likely what it is, Tom, is you return the video and it didn't get registered in their system.
Yeah.
And the $99 or 99-cent late fee becomes $67. And the goons that bought this debt, the collection goons, probably paid 5 cents for this debt. And so they're just sending out, they blanket send out these letters in attempt to collect. I mean, if I could buy $67 notes for 5 cents, I would do it all day long. You know, knowing that only 10% are going to pay me, even if only 10% pay me, think about how much money these collection companies are making off of these supposedly bad debts. And they're not really bad debts. The problem with this is, what'd you do with the letter?
Well, I set it aside till I had a chance to talk to you. This came about 2 days ago. And now I'm not sure if that letter got disposed of or not.
Okay, so
I'm going to go home and look for it.
We're going to find out what he did with that letter up next, and if Tom has to rush home tonight and dig through the dumpster out back, because he might have to do that in order to save his credit. In the meantime, you can always reach out to me at 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678, or simply go to the website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's badcreditisAchoice.com. So up next, we're going to find out if Tom has to dig through the trash when he gets home. Hi, this is Rondi, host of Your Credit Matters. Did you know that nearly 75 million Americans have mistakes on their credit report? And according to recent studies, these mistakes could be costing you thousands of dollars each and every year. Can you really afford to throw away thousands of dollars each year? If you're sick and tired of having poor credit due to inaccuracies, you owe it to yourself to get your credit fixed today. Now, I've helped thousands of people, many of them just like you, improve their credit by getting thousands of inaccurate, erroneous, obsolete items like a bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sales, judgments, late pays, collections removed permanently and legally from their credit report. Now, I'm hosting a seminar on January 21st at noon at the DoubleTree Hotel. The event is free, but you must RSVP to reserve your space, as space is limited. So to RSVP for the free event, please go to badcreditisAchoice.com and click on the seminar button and put in your information, and I'll send you all of the details that you need to make sure that finally, in 2012, you can finally have the life you've always wanted to live, and you can finally have the credit score that you actually deserve. Again, to RSVP, simply go to my website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's one more time, badcreditisAchoice.com. Simply click on the button right above the video that says seminar. Fill in your information. I'll email you your ticket, the confirmation, the address, the map, and all of the information you're going to need to attend the seminar. If you don't have access to a computer, that's okay. Give me a call, 888-900-3678. Again, that's 888-900-3678. When you call in, simply tell my receptionist your name and your phone number, and I'll call you back and get you the details of the event. I look forward to meeting you there. In the meantime, have a great day. And, oh, by the way, make sure you tune in to listen to my show tonight right here on K-Praise at 6:30 p.m. Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Rondi Lambeth, certified FICO credit professional, author and speaker, and your local credit expert, bringing to you what I think the banks and the credit bureaus, the scumbag collection companies, are spending hundreds of millions of dollars each and every year confusing you, confusing you and stealing from you, making your life miserable. And I think they do it on purpose. In fact, I think they do it so much that they get sued a lot, and 12 to 13,000 times a day. I wish it was that many. 13,000 times a year they are sued by state agencies, private citizens like you and me. And with that, it's because of the way they do their business and the way they operate. So in the studio today, I have with me Tom Levine. Thanks, Tom, for coming in.
Sure.
And Tom, you're with, I think everybody listening to the show knows who you are.
Well, I have been here for a long time, so I've had a lot of opportunities to meet many of our listeners at events and be on the radio.
So to recap, we have you on the studio, I keep saying that today. I have you on the show today because of a little letter that you got in the mail. You got a letter in the mail just 2 days ago from a collection goon working for Hollywood Video, and they say you owe them $67.
Right. I would be happy to pay any legitimate thing that may have slipped through the cracks. You know, we are very vigilant about watching our credit score. We just bought a car here a couple of months ago, and so I was interested to see in this major purchase what our credit score would be like according to the dealership. So I know all of this is really important, but I have no way of telling 5 years later if this is a legitimate charge.
And it was from 5 years ago, 2007, and I can tell you most likely it's not a legitimate charge based on the fact that the state of Montana recently sued Hollywood Video and Blockbuster Video for closing their doors and then reporting people late and charge-offs and sending them to collections, even though the consumers did nothing wrong. And even though the consumers were never given the opportunity to pay the late fees. And so they sold it off to these collection agencies that really run under the radar. They pop up and they go away. They get sued. They get shut down.
Wow.
And so they reincorporate somewhere else. And they pretend to be attorneys a lot of times, and they'll go after another group of people, make a bunch of money, and then go away. So, and a lot of them are actually taking their money offshore and hiding it, so that way they can, there was a case just last week that finalized in Las Vegas, and they'd stole close to $13 million from the Nevada consumers, and the people filed bankruptcy and ended up having to pay like $5,000 fine. It was only $5,000 because they had no money to pay, because all the money disappeared. So I don't know how you burn through $13 million in 18 months, but apparently they did. And I think all they did is they moved it offshore. But the question you have is, how do you get rid of this, or how do you address this letter?
Right. I don't know if it will ever appear on our credit. So I called you. I wanted to find out.
Most likely it will. Most likely it will if you ignore the letter. So the worst possible thing you can do is ignore it.
Okay.
So you got to find out as soon as you get home. You got to call on your way home. You're going to call your wife, and hopefully she did not throw it away. Otherwise, you will be digging through the trash to find it. And because you have to have that letter, because under federal law, they have to give you 30 days to respond to the letter. Now, have you received any phone calls from them?
No.
And if you haven't yet, most likely you're not going to. I would recommend that you go to, do you have a credit monitoring service?
Actually, we do not.
Okay. I recommend creditchecktotal.com. Again, that's creditchecktotal.com for monitoring. I hate recommending them, but unfortunately, they are the best service that I've found. Experian owns them. I hate giving money to Experian. But you can get an account with them. It's going to be $30 a month. You're going to call back after you get the account and ask for a discount and tell them that you found it cheaper elsewhere and that you found it on TrueCredit.com and it was only $14 a month. They'll put you on hold. They'll come back and they'll either discount it to $15 a month or less, because they don't want their competition, which True Credit is their competition with TransUnion. So they'll drop it to $15. And then I want you to monitor that and make sure that this collection does not show up in the next 28 days. Because by law, they have to give you 30 days to respond and to dispute the validity and make them verify the information that they're reporting on the letter. So if they don't give you that 30 days, they can't legally put it on your credit report. So if it shows up on your credit report prior to that, then they just violated the Fair Credit Report Act and potentially the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which then you have a right as a consumer to sue them in federal or state court, which we don't want to go down that road.
Right.
But at least if you had a monitoring service, you would know for sure if that actually happened.
Yes.
Okay. So then you're going to take the letter and you're going to review it. And there's some certain things that have to be on there. One of the things you want to see on that letter is, does it state the California Rosenthal Act?
I noticed that it did.
Okay, so it did.
Yes.
A lot of times they won't put that on there, and it is required by state law that that's on there. The next thing I want you to check is if they're licensed in the state of California.
Okay.
A lot of collection companies are not. And according to the state AG, the California Attorney General, if you do business in California, and I found this out myself with my business, that even though my business is located out of the state of California, because I live here and I talk to people, I have to be registered in the state of California. So find out if they're registered and licensed. If they're not, then this makes this a very simple process.
Registered or licensed?
Licensed in the state of California. So they have to be licensed and they have to be bonded in the state of California as a collection company. And you can Google that. You can Google State Attorney General. You can call the State Attorney General's office and find out if they're licensed and bonded. And if they're not, then that's going to make what we do next very, very simple. Okay. Very straightforward. Either they fix it and let it go away, or we're going to file a complaint with the state AG. You'll pay them the $67, but they're going to get fined several thousand, if not several $100,000 for operating in the state without being licensed and bonded. So it's a big deal. So up next, we're going to talk about exactly what I want you to write on the letter after you find out if it's licensed and bonded. So you've been listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth. And in studio today, I have with me Tom from KPRZ. And we've been talking about this collection letter that Tom got in the mail. My direct line, if you have credit issues and credit problems or credit questions, give me a call, 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678, or simply go to my website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's badcreditisAchoice.com. Hi, this is Rondi, host of Your Credit Matters. Did you know that nearly 75 million Americans have mistakes on their credit report? And according to recent studies, these mistakes could be costing you thousands of dollars each and every year. Can you really afford to throw away thousands of dollars each year? If you're sick and tired of having poor credit due to inaccuracies, you owe it to yourself to get your credit fixed today. Now, I've helped thousands of people, many of them just like you, improve their credit by getting thousands of inaccurate, erroneous, obsolete items like a bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sales, judgments, late pays, collections removed permanently and legally from their credit report. Now, I'm hosting a seminar on January 21st at noon at the DoubleTree Hotel. The event is free, but you must RSVP to reserve your space, as space is limited. So to RSVP for the free event, please go to badcreditisAchoice.com and click on the seminar button and put in your information, and I'll send you all of the details that you need to make sure that finally, in 2012, you can finally have the life you've always wanted to live, and you can finally have the credit score that you actually deserve. Again, to RSVP, simply go to my website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's one more time, badcreditisAchoice.com. Simply click on the button right above the video that says seminar. Fill in your information. I'll email you your ticket, the confirmation, the address, the map, and all of the information you're going to need to attend the seminar. If you don't have access to a computer, that's okay. Give me a call, 888-900-3678. Again, that's 888-900-3678. When you call in, simply tell my receptionist your name and your phone number, and I'll call you back and get you the details of the event. I look forward to meeting you there. In the meantime, have a great day. And, oh, by the way, make sure you tune in to listen to my show tonight right here on K-Praise at 6:30 p.m. Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Rondi Lambeth, certified FICO credit expert, author and speaker, and your local credit expert, bringing to you each and every day what I think the banks and the credit bureaus don't want you to know about your credit score, your finances, and what's going on with this real estate market, and how they actually hide from you how much money they're making, how they're hiding from you how you can get out of debt, how they're taking government money to invest back into their pockets when they should be loaning it out to the public. So I bring that to you each and every day. And today we have a special guest on the show, and it's Tom Levine from KPRZ. Thanks, Tom, for coming in.
Oh, it's great to be here, Rondi. Thank you.
You know, we've been talking on the show about this collection letter that you received from Hollywood Video's collection company, and Hollywood Video is now out of business. And it's been 5 years now since you've rented any movies there, approximately 5 years.
Right.
And out of the blue, you get a collection letter.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any, charge that was remaining when the store closed that I was not aware of. It's possible. Maybe one of the kids rented a video game or something like that.
You know, and what happened was Hollywood Video, the state of Montana sued Hollywood Video's collection companies for doing the exact same thing, was they closed their doors and they reported everybody late and reported everybody as charge-offs, and they owed money, and they sent them all to collections. That's probably what happened here. But you mentioned something earlier that you've recently bought a car.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And how long ago was that?
It's only been about a month, actually.
Okay. Here's probably what's going on, Tom, that when you bought that car, you triggered something with the credit bureaus. And one of the ways the credit bureaus make money is they own a lot of the collection companies.
Sure.
The other way they make money is they sell information to collection companies across the United States. So what they'll do, and by the way, this is not legal, but what they'll do is they'll say, hey, Mr. Scumbag Collection Company in Las Vegas, we know you buy bad debt, and we want to sell you some information. Tom and his wife just bought a new car, and I just want to let you know that it looks like they have some money and they're out applying for credit. You might want to take some of that information and find a collection on them. And literally what these collection companies do is they make stuff up. They literally make it up. And a lot of them are going to jail, but most of them don't get caught. You know, I watched the show on, I think it's Nat Geo, and it's called Drugs, Inc., and then Border Wars. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Border Wars, but it's...
I haven't seen the show. I've seen promo for the show.
Okay. It's all about protecting our borders. And one of the episodes I watched was the Border Patrol that I actually just went through, the Tijuana border checkpoint. And they were saying that 9 out of 10 times the cartel will make it through. They only catch them 10% of the time. 90% of the time the cartel goes through. And a lot of times what the cartel will do is they'll send 2 cars at the same time, and they'll turn one in with a lot of drugs on it in attempt to get the agents all excited, and they'll go and they'll start searching that car, which they're going to find the drugs, and then all the rest of the cars go through. And so what happens with these collection companies and credit bureaus is the same thing. They know that 9 times out of 10 that the person's not going to pay. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to get away from robbing from the American people, and they're going to get away with it. They're not going to get caught. And so they're willing to break the law. Equifax, TransUnion, Experian get sued all the time. 13,000 times a year they're getting sued. And yet they're willing to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in fines because they're making billions of dollars during the crime.
Yeah.
And so that's probably what's going on here was some junk buyer bought this debt, and now he's attempting to collect it. But you can't ignore the debt. You must do something proactively. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to look it up and see if they're licensed and bonded in California with the state attorney general. Then you are going to write a letter when you get home. Dig it out of the trash if you need to. Write a letter, and you are going to ask them to verify and validate the debt, and to provide you proof with your information and signature on it, and proof that they actually have a right to collect. Because a lot of times they don't have a right to collect the debt, that they just say they do. But there's got to be a contract between them and Hollywood Video. And if there's not, they don't have a legal right to collect it many times. And so you want to see proof, because the worst thing could happen is you pay it, and then they sell it off to another collection company. And then you pay that one, and they sell it to another one. And no one actually had a right to collect it.
Wow. So you could pay numerous times for the same debt to different collection companies?
Over and over again. You know, I got a letter last week from T-Mobile, from a collection company. I was telling you about that during the break. And I've never had an account with T-Mobile, ever. And this is probably the 4th or 5th time in the last 5 years that I've had to deal with this.
Oh, my goodness.
And they just sell it. And because I know how to write the letters, it never goes anywhere. But you want to write the letters because they can't put it on your credit report if you write the letter until they verify and prove to you that it's yours. Now, if for some reason it does show up on your credit, then we're going to approach it a different way. But we want to see proof. And I just pulled this out of my bag. Here's something we requested. Here's an example. You can see 2 names on this application, but only 1 signature.
Oh,
and they only planned on 1 person being in this rental. What happened was, what we found out is the rental apartment complex and the collection company added this name on.
Oh, my goodness.
And added these, they forged the documents. So this is very common. So when you send that letter, it is very, very important you do not sign anything. You cannot sign the letter. Because if you sign it, they'll take your signature with Photoshop and they'll put it on something trying to prove that it's your signature. So do not sign the letter to a collection company, ever. Okay? So that's what you want to do, is you want to dispute the validity and make them verify the fact that it's actually yours. If they come back and it is yours, pay it.
Right.
With one exception. You want to send them a letter saying, I agree to pay this as long as you don't put it on my credit report. Upon successfully cashing my check, you have agreed not to put it on my credit report. Okay. And I'll give you that details off air, exactly what to say. So if you're listening to the show and you want to know exactly what to say and you need some help, give me a call, 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678. Or go to the website, badcreditisachoice.com. Again, it's badcreditisachoice.com. When you reach out to me, I'm going to do my best to help you. And we're just running out of time, Tom. So thanks so much for coming in. I'm glad to be able to help you and your wife. And thanks for coming on the show. So I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth, and you're listening to Your Credit Matters, where I bring you the truth each and every day, and it's a truth that's going to set you free. Hi, this is Ronnie, certified FICO credit professional. Did you know that 100%, you heard me, 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate? And based on those inaccuracies, the banks and the credit bureaus can make billions of dollars off of you, the American people. See, the more mistakes on a credit report, the more they can make. Do you think it's fair that while the banks are getting richer, you're getting poorer? While the banks are flying around in their fancy jets, you're barely scraping by. If you'd like to put a stop to what I call theft, give me a call. My number is 619-333-0111. Or you can go to the website, creditroadmap.com, and sign up to be on my newsletter and sign up for my free book on how you can fix your own credit. You'll be glad you did.
The preceding program was sponsored by Your Credit Matters.